Hello, hello, everyone. Hi, Tina. Hello, Regina and Alina. So wonderful to see you guys already. You're popping on right away. Feeling just as excited as me? I know I always say that. I think I commented on that in a recent video that I put up. I don't remember which one. I've been doing so many videos lately, but I remember commenting on it recently and I was like, I could think of a different word other than being really excited, except that honestly, that's just how I always feel. Connecting with spirit is like the most amazing thing that is never, ever, ever going to get old because it's everything. It's like all of those times as like a little kid running around and talking with the fairies and connecting with them now being fully realized as, hey, no, you weren't a crazy little kid. You were totally in the vibe of the fairies, and you're also like completely a fairy. To the point where you'll notice I actually have some color on today. I know I tend to wear a lot of black. It's just because wearing black just makes my life easier for dealing with getting ready in the mornings, and I have so many other things that I like doing other than trying to figure out how clothes match. So that's always been my go-to color. So I was looking around for like different colors, blue colors, because that's totally obviously the mermaid vibe and what I was feeling this morning. And I ended up finding some old clothes of my sister's that she just gave off to me a couple months ago because she's the fashion person who has everything in a zillion colors. And anyway, then I was running around my apartment with my arms outstretched, being like, I feel like I'm a fairy and I'm flying because it's just that kind of material and it has kind of the wing format. So that was my morning. I'm like already like really, really pumped up because I'm always surrounded by the fairies. And they're really excited too that I'm connecting with the mermaids because despite the fact that I live right on the ocean where I can step out of my front door and I can see it and be down right at its edge within 2 minutes, that I really haven't connected with the mermaids. The last time I connected with the mermaids was, I think, a year, maybe a year and a half ago. I haven't actually double checked, but the video is up on my YouTube channel, and I think it's in that range. And that was pretty much the last time I connected with the mermaids. And that first time I connected with them, it was because everybody was saying, we would love for you to connect with the mermaids. We feel really connected with the mermaids. We want to get to know a little bit more about them. And this time around, it was the mermaids stepping forward and saying, we would like for you to hold space for people to ask us questions. And I was like, okay, sure. There were definitely people in my group who were really connected with you guys year and a half ago or whatever it was. Let's do this because I love your energy. And oh my gosh, you guys. I knew that there were people who were really connected with the mermaids in our group, but you guys have just blown me away with all of the questions that you guys have been asking just when I opened up the event and said you could leave some questions down there if you weren't able to make it, because I know the way times work doesn't always quite line up right in the exact moment. So it's nice to be able to catch some questions that then I can just ask for you guys here, and then you can watch later. But then I asked again just a couple days ago, and then still more questions. And I'm sure a bunch of you who are here on live probably have some questions as well. Oh, hey, sorry. I just noticed I could do that with StreamYard, clicking random buttons in my excitement here. But anyway, hello, 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 all of you who have come on in so far. Ooh, Shell and Ruby and Tefnut. Lovely to see all of you. So many already in. So, oh, and Amy, too. Oh my gosh, nearly missed you there, Amy. Hello, hello. So, yes, as I was saying, if you guys who are here have any other further questions, you can definitely ask them. For those of you who did already write your questions down, don't worry. I have all these notes of all those questions, and I also have it up on my laptop here because in addition to asking some questions, some of you guys also wrote such beautiful messages and just gave a little bit of backstory to where you've been, where you're coming from, and just what's going on right now. So I'm probably going to read out a few of these questions, like exactly word for word, along with what was written as well, just because it just hit my heart with what some of you are experiencing in terms of your connections or disconnections when it comes to water and ocean, or your connections with the mermaids, or just your general curiosity with the mermaids. It just, oh, it's so amazing and gets me really, really excited. It's why I do this, because there's so much passion and curiosity, and that's my jam. I love just holding a space for people's passions, people's curiosities, people's questions. So I'm super excited about this today, and super excited that the mermaids stepped forward, saying that a bunch of you had questions and they were willing just to come forward, just to have just a straight up Q&A space. So they don't have any particular message that they have specifically to relay to us at this time. They just wanted to connect with us, which I think is just really, really beautiful and special, especially because we're getting so many messages from many other beings. Just yesterday, I connected with Puck, who's often known as Robin Goodfellow. He's a basically like kind of an elemental god of kind of the area of the United Kingdom, tends to be where he has always been located, and all of the stories about him have come. He's also often worn the moniker of trickster, and this month, just for me, I was wanting to connect with all of the different trickster energies just to get to know them and find out who they really, really were underneath all the different layers of stories that we have of them over time that aren't necessarily the complete truth. And so that was a really, really fascinating channeling that I have posted up on my YouTube channel just yesterday, if you haven't caught it. He had a very, very strong message for us all, and was so much like this hilarious contrast of like this like really old-fashioned school teacher kind of vibe, but with like heavy kind of like mischief underneath. So he knew that he was like completely putting on kind of the show, and had this really, really strong calling that he had for all of us to um, focus more upon now. And yet he was doing it in this way that just had me laughing so much that I had to pause the recording and just take a moment to laugh and ask him to step back a bit and not keep riling me up with laughter so that I could actually relay his message. But anyway, so that's what I've just posted up to my YouTube channel, and it was an absolute joy to connect with Puck and just hear what he had to say. Really all about reconnecting with and kind of reigniting the wildness in us, and not denying ourselves certain desires that resonate with us. Anyway, that's his message, and that's up on my YouTube channel, so I'm not going to go into further detail with that because this stays Mermaids. And otherwise, me with my fairy brain, I'll just wander off in a circle and eventually come back around again. We don't want that today. So, thank you again to everyone who submitted questions ahead of time. And again, when I've gone through all the questions that have been submitted ahead of time, we'll see what the time is like. I'm definitely willing to be on a little bit longer than I usually am. So I'm expecting today we'll probably go over an hour by a little bit, if not a chunk. Just because, again, there were so many amazing questions, and I do really, really want to hear what the mermaids have to say about all of them. So, to start off, ooh, straw. I always like to share a little bit about what the energies feel like as I connect with them. And there's two mermaids who are stepping forward as the speakers for the mermaids. And they're both female. And they have such a peaceful presence. It's one of the things that really struck me the last time I connected with the mermaids, is that they're very, very calming to connect with. Mm-hmm. And to me, it feels like I'm just getting rocked kind of by their energy, just this like lovely back and forth kind of rocking. And yet, there's also this thread of just pure joyful bliss that it feels like a sparkle that just runs through them. Very much like, thanks, that's a good image. One of them just dropped an image in my mind just to kind of help explain just how their energy feels to me. It's very much like that image of like a fish leaping up out of the water, and you get that flash of light and color when the sun is hitting its scales before it just disappears back under the water again, and you're also getting like the flash of the water itself before, so you get that quick flash of a moment before then everything just settles and it's still once more. And that's very much what they feel like to me. And all their energy is just pooling so much into my heart chakra. It's like all in there right now. Really, really, really strongly. Oh. One of them is just said again, it's because they hold so much love for all of us, and they are doing this because they know that they have not connected with us very much, particularly in comparison to the others that we call elementals. And they wish for us to get to know them more and to be aware of them more, even if until this point they have not been as openly active. And just to help, as I'm kind of relaying the messages, I'm just asking them if they have any particular names that they wish to be called by. And interestingly too, with the two mermaids that are presenting themselves before me, one of them is very, very much as you would imagine a mermaid in terms of being very kind of turquoise and green kind of in her coloring on her tail. And she says her name is Saoirse. Yeah, Saoirse. Okay. And then the other one is a lot more of kind of this soft pink, kind of oranges and yellows almost with her tail. And she's laughing a little bit and she says, "You may laugh at my name that I wish for you to call me by, and that is exactly why I am giving it to you. And it is Coral." Oh, that's a very classic name. Definitely making me laugh. So Saoirse and Coral. Okay. So first question, just to keep you guys in the loop of all the questions that have been asked, I'm going to start with a number of questions that Ursula wrote down, and the first one is, do mermaids live on the earthly plane, or are they from other planets? Okay. Saoirse's stepping forward for this, and she says that yes, we do live on the earthly plane. We have always been here. There's just been a time that we stepped back and we shifted into other dimensions, just as the others who you call elementals did. And now that the vibrations here upon Gaia's back are beginning to rise again and will return to what they once were, we are coming back to the earthly plane too. Although, because there is still much growth to be had with the vibrations, we're not back here permanently, but we are coming back here more often to help with raising the vibrations and to connect with those of you who are open enough to get to know us. There are others like ourselves who reside upon other planets, just as there are other elementals on other planets, such as the Pleiadian elves. They, and they're speaking of like all the elementals of other planets, including themselves, including mermaids as a bracket, do similar work to those with those other planets as we do with this one. The exact roles and duties that the mermaids elsewhere do differs depending on the vibrations of each planet. But by and large, we are all concerned with the balancing of the physical ecosystems that we watch over. Okay. The second question that I'm just asking now is, what do mermaids really look like? As Ursula was describing in her question, and I'm sure all of you have definitely seen from any sort of quick Google search and any sort of even just a general like mythology book. There's so many different images of mermaids out there, which span everything from mermaids looking more like sharks to mermaids being almost too human in their design. So I'm really fascinated about this one too. Wow. Okay, so this is Coral speaking up about this one, and she says that like any elemental, we have taken on different roles, and as a result, being perceived in different ways, depending on the vibration that the individual was operating from. And that is where many of what you might term frightening images have come from. Those were from individuals operating on a lower vibration, and that is what they perceived of us. What we look like, truly, is more in line with your current interpretations of this time, of the long, colorful tale, and the torso that resembles your own bodies. Okay, that's cool. That's also what I was getting just from how I perceive them as well. So it's fascinating just to get confirmation of that. Okay, and next question is asking, do mermaids interact with humans or work with them specifically? Okay. And this is Saoirse stepping forward now. I like how we're kind of alternating back and forth. Very balanced. And she says that no, they have not interacted with humans much. And it has only been now that they have really stepped forward to interact with humans. And as for working with them, because they have not interacted with humans much, if at all, for many of them, she says, many of us, she says, have never interacted with humans. We, and she's referring to herself and Curl, are the few who are comfortable with interacting with you and who are able and who have. Although you will see a shift with us, just as you are shifting, that as your vibrations are rising as a collective, we will be stepping forward even more en masse and becoming more open with who we are. And so, she says, we do not work with you incarnated humans often, not unless you have specifically reached out and asked for us to work with you. There are a few who we do work with or who we visit for a time, depending on what is needed from the individual, or if we have been asked to step in to help the individual by your guardian angels. Ooh, she's jumping ahead. And she's just saying, so to answer the next question, and I'm going to just catch you guys up on the next question. She's just going straight into it, is just asking about if mermaids have a particular role that characterizes them in terms of their duties and what they do here. And what are you saying? Okay. And so she's saying, we, as has been said, concern ourselves with the ocean worlds, the ocean life, what you may call the, and keeping it all in balance within itself and in balance with the worlds of the land and of the sky. As such, she says, when we are called upon by one of your guardian angels to step in for a time, or to come in with a young child and to be with them through their lifetime. We're there because there is a need for balance that the soul that we work with is here in that lifetime to learn how to be balanced and needs an external source to help them remain on a middle path rather than falling into any extremes. I'm just asking them now just about one of my own questions, which was, what is the difference between themselves and their work and the work that the Selkies do, and then even what the sea fairies do? Because the Selkies and the sea fairies, those are two who I've connected with a lot more, particularly because, at least where I live, there is a huge population of Selkies, which, just as a interesting side note, is because a lot of different beings tend to stay around or move with, or they're within the kind of circle of the humans who are connected with them, who tell stories about them, who know of their energy, which makes sense actually when you think about it, that just of basic energy exchanges, that if you're going to be talking about, thinking about, or honoring any particular being, attracting them into your life like you would with any energy. So anyway, there's so many Selkies right where I live, just because there's a huge population of individuals, interestingly, from many different cultures, who have their own stories about the Selkies. And that's why they're over here, which is, anyway, it's a fun side fact that I always found really, really fascinating. Mm-hmm. Or for another being who's also quite shy and doesn't interact much would be like any of the Sasquatch. For example, there's, none here on the island, except I think kind of further up on the north end of the island, but they kind of also tend to be in areas where there's been stories told about them. There's a belief and understanding, a connection to them, which, anyway, side thing. Yes, I know. My guardian angel's always present, always kind of keeping things in line, and he just said, "You're getting distracted again." And I'm like, yes, on track. So I was asking Saoirse just what the difference was between these different kind of ocean-based elementals. Okay. And she says that the Selkies are focused upon helping with times of change, particularly any sort of abrupt changes or sudden changes or shifts. So they tend to be most active in around like the new moon, the full moon phases, they tend to, they do interact more with humans, the Selkies, and work with us through any periods of transformation. Just asking them if that's where a lot of the myths of Selkies being able to walk on land as humans comes from. She's laughing and she says that Selkies cannot do that literally any more than any other being could, but energetically they certainly can. They can connect most easily with us. They're able to shift their vibrational frequencies a lot more easily than the mermaids, so that they can directly connect with us and help us through any sort of turmoil, while at the same time they also are very active with managing that just within the ocean and the waters of the world as well. And then the ones she says you call the Sea and Ocean Fairies, they work with the energy of water itself. And they're concerned with the presence of light and the vibration that any source of water has. And then also work with us most often when we have any fears or low vibrations associated with water. That's interesting. Anyway, moving. As I just kind of go through my notes here for the next one. Okay. That's the next one. Here we go. So the next one is also from Ursula, and she was just curious about whether or not she's lived as a mermaid, because absolutely, just like with any other being out there, particularly in terms of the elementals, for us who are here incarnated as humans, most of us have had lifetimes as elementals before coming into our human lifetimes. There's been very few people who I have done readings for who have had that really dramatic and abrupt shift of going from like a Pleiadian series of lifetimes or Arcturian series of lifetimes and coming straight here, just because the vibrational frequencies are so different. It would be an extreme shock. So most of us have had lifetimes as elementals of many sorts. Again, most live in fairy. So let's see what okay, so Coral is answering this one, Ursula, and she says that yes, you have in fact had lifetimes as a mermaid. It has not been to the same quantity and amount of experience that you have had with other lifetimes as other beings. just doing this, so it's like teeny little bit, just teeny little sliver, she says. Oh, Interesting. And she's saying that that little bit, that handful of lifetimes as a mermaid, is what has helped you in this lifetime, especially as you have had huge leaps and bounds of growth and experience in this lifetime, in terms of reconnecting with your really? Huh. With your whole self. Just asked her why she was saying that, because I keep saying whole self, and she says, of course you keep saying whole self. That is what it is. So anyway, and she says that this has come out in your innate ability to relay light language. Okay, now I'm curious if the mermaids are connected with that. So I'm just going to ask them that. Oh, okay. So this is now Saoirse speaking. I love how they keep switching back and forth. And she says that the mermaids are very much connected with what we call language. Language is simply just another form of energetic expression. It is most prevalent in their space, in the ocean. She's giving me all these images of all the whales. And how the whales speak through their song and those vibrations passing through like those thousands and thousands of kilometers. Okay. And wow, interesting. That is apparently also how the mermaids speak with each other as well. They speak through song underneath the water and through those vibrational those vibrations that are passed through the water. And she says, as light language is one of the most true sources of language, being as close to source as any language, as any vibrational language can get. It is very much a part of them and what they do, and that's fed into, interestingly, Ursula. Just saying for me, so interesting. What they're saying just about that small portion of lifetimes that you had as a mermaid. That's really cool. Oh my gosh, I learned something new. Something really new that gets me really, really, really excited because, musician, pianist. I really, really want to connect with the mermaids and find out if they have a particular song. Now, that might be my next one, because what I've got this week and what I'm going to be doing after this live here is recording a song that I got from the unicorns. So I've got that, but maybe next week it'll be the mermaids, because oh my gosh, I didn't think of that. They were connected with like music, and music is language. Well, of course. Wow. So many light bulbs right now are just going off in my head. I don't know about you guys. All right. So, going off of that, I'm really, really curious now about Catalina. She asked a question about just any signs that might pop up in your life that indicate that you were incarnated as a mermaid. And kind of as an offshoot of that, if there's anything that anyone who has incarnated as a mermaid can do now in their human lifetime. Now it's Coral. Okay. And she says that if you have felt drawn to the mermaids, if you feel a resonance with mermaids, if you feel a resonance with water, with the ocean in particular even, if you always find yourself coming across images of mermaids or stories of mermaids, or were connected with them as a child, those are all the biggest signs, she says, for you now in this lifetime to be reminded of your lifetimes as a mermaid. Other signs, she says, that are part of having lifetimes as a mermaid that often filter into your human lifetimes. Just as with, she says, Ursula and her light language. That those who've incarnated with mermaids, in addition to feeling a deep resonance with the ocean in particular, with being drawn towards stories and images of mermaids, they're often individuals who are deeply sensitive, who may wish to use or do use the term of empath, and who have always been very in tune to the natural balance of things and when that balance is upset. So individuals who particularly find themselves having extreme reactions to the changing cycles of the moon have had lifetimes as mermaids. But remember, she says, all of these that I speak of are things that many of you hold. And if you wish to know whether you have incarnated as a mermaid for any number of lifetimes, simply ask that question within yourself and listen for the answer. Do you resonate with being an incarnated mermaid? And if you do, then know that yes, you have been one. And follow that resonance within yourself. Because that is all you need as a guide to anything. And all that you need to do, whether you have incarnated as a mermaid or you haven't, and perhaps you simply wish in this lifetime to work with us, you can still reach out to us and you can work with us. Where we are wishing to step forward more, and we are wishing to work with all of you more, so that those incarnated as humans and we incarnated as mermaids can come into greater alignment and balance. And we can go back to how we connected. All you need to do, whether you have incarnated as a mermaid or not, is just follow what resonates with you. And so, okay, she's talking about now another question that was asked about what we can do for the oceans and just all the bodies of water across the earth now. And she says that all we have to do is speak out about the importance of protecting the oceans, about showing our support by joining with organizations that work to clean up the oceans, that work to protect the different creatures of the oceans and the waters. And to teach younger generations to value water, to value the ocean, and see it as just as equally important as the mountains and the trees, for it is what physically is running through our physical bodies. Cool. Okay, so Ulrich, let me just look at your question because I think that was yours. What can we humans do now? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so she's answered your question there, Ulrich, just about what can we humans do now to clean up these seas. Just a good reminder. All right, so looking at my notes here. Okay. Coral's just said, we know which questions you are going to ask. And yes, we are ahead of you. Because I just flipped over to look at Ulrich's question there and it was like, okay, where are we with the questions? Where was I kind of planning on going next? And I had it right in front of me. Because that's exactly where they were going. I love that about Spirit. They're always that one step ahead of you and know, yep, and that's where you've got to go. And then you're like behind them and like, what? Whoa, okay, yep, that's where I was gonna go. Sorry, just again, one of those moments, like I was saying at the very beginning of this live, that just constantly keeps me on my toes and keeps me absolutely loving Spirit and just everything about them. Okay, so the next one I'm really curious about, from Twyla. She was asking, will we ever be able to swim with the mermaids? And if so, when? Okay. Okay, this is back to Saoirse, and she says that when the energies on Gaia's back first were born, when we all came here, and she's talking about the mermaids, and she's giving me this image of like all the other elementals as well. So all the elementals, when we were born here, and then when all of you were born here, and she's just speaking of any incarnated humans, we did interact. And we did swim together. But per the lessons that Gaia wished to be a part of, and she wished to be a place of, for all of us to learn and to grow, and per the contract that she created in alignment with Source for herself and for all of us here upon Gaia's back. That moment of balance dipped into the lower vibrational periods that all of you are very familiar with and are only just now beginning to turn up and away from. Only just now. And so, yes, there will be a time when we will all swim together again. But know that that does not stop you from swimming with us. And it hasn't stopped anyone from swimming with us. For we have, as I have said, been here primarily just energetically. For when the vibrations dipped, we physically moved ourselves to other planes. But we have always been here. And so if you wish to swim with us, you can do so with your own mind and with your own energy. And you have done it in your dreams, and you can certainly do it intentionally. Just reach out, call upon us, and ask. We will answer, and we will gladly swim with your energy. Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks for asking that, Twyla. Thank you, everybody, so far. These have been just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful questions. Okay. And next one was Sanyukta. Oh, good, and you're here too. So Sanyukta, you'd asked about, and I just wanted to look at that question of yours specifically again. Yes, here we go. That you had done a meditation to connect with your angels, and you met a mermaid at that time. Mm-hmm. And you got the name of Sing. Oh, yep. So Coral says that yes, Sanyukta, you do have a mermaid with you. Let's see. Oh. Oh. Nice. So Coral's just she's done this kind of sweet like beckoning, and got a third energy here now, which oh, she's wonderful. She feels very, very, very much like any mermaid being, kind of that lovely combination of peaceful and yet that like bright spark that I was talking about. She's also got a little bit more of an edge to her too, which may be why she's working with you specifically. Okay, because she's worked with, she's just speaking now, and she says she's worked with many humans. That's primarily, she's an ambassador, she says. She's an ambassador who primarily works with humans and has been part of a group of some of the mermaids like Saoirse and Coral who are kind of leading the way with for the mermaids with reconnecting with us and helping us more directly, because they are, she says, they are older mermaids. They have been around for what we would consider a long time. And they have had a lot more experience with the lower vibrational periods and with connecting with humans during those lower vibrational periods. Being a little cheeky, says that they came to remind those humans then that they existed, that there is more beyond just their current reality, and that she is here with you right now to, as they do, to help with bringing all different aspects of yourself into greater alignment and balance. And as you're doing this, to allow yourself to get into the flow of balance from a place of, oh my gosh, it's that word again, it's everywhere lately, from a place of joy and not see your spiritual growth as something that must be done, or that is some sort of trial or struggle or obligatory like daily task. It is simply an awareness in each and every moment of who you are in those moments, and honoring each self as that self arises, and then letting go of any aspect of self that you are recognizing now and you no longer wish to hold on to, and doing that each and every time it arises. And Singh says all these aspects of yourself will continue to rise and fall, and rise and fall, and rise and fall, just like the tide. This will not be a one-off practice for you. This is, if you are willing to continue walking this path with me and with your team, what will span all of this lifetime and into the next and the next. As you bring yourself into greater alignment, not with concepts of tasks and habits and things that must be done, but just enjoying each moment and seeking and looking for the joy, even when you are caught up in things that are a part of being physically here. Aw. So it sounds like Sing is just this wonderful, wonderful extra support for you. Kind of like they were saying that they're doing, and that's so cool that there's kind of a group of them too that are kind of spearheading like this whole reconnection with humanity. And oh my gosh, so neat. Yeah, getting to know someone who's got a mermaid on their team, because yeah, that actually, when I think about it, I think I've only come across one other person with like all the readings that I've done and all the people that I've just met just through these lives and just the work that I do online. I've only met one other person who's had a mermaid on their team. So that's really cool. It does kind of really highlight how much, they've kind of remained separate, and it makes it even more exciting that they're starting to like connect with all of the rest of us too. Ooh, so cool. Okay. And oh, yeah, she's absolutely there. And she's definitely a little bit more, she's got a little bit of a stronger edge to her, even than Saoirse and Coral for sure. So feel like she's gonna definitely keep you in line with keeping yourself always balanced. So anytime you're feeling kind of like you're leaning in one direction, she'll be there. So fun. All right, we have here, I think, about 3 more questions that I've had written down just from ones previously, and I think there's been a couple others that have popped up. So I'll definitely scroll back through the comments there because I know there's a couple that were kind of earlier on. But the next one, ooh, my gosh, you guys and your questions, they're all so good. So this is from Amy. And I think I'm going to read it directly because, yes, she also had, Amy Lynn. She had a lovely little description here. She said she's just heard from other channel messages that the oceans are beginning to warm and expand as part of this ascension process. Are the mermaids assisting our planet at this time with this transition? Yeah, they do. All the energy today. Do they have any advice for us as far as moving away from large bodies of water or not? Ooh. Okay. Okay, so this is Coral speaking, and she says that yes, it is a huge part of their work as the ones who make sure that the oceans and all the life forms in the oceans remain balanced, and that the oceans are remaining balanced then with the worlds of the sky and the worlds of the land. And the ascension process, by nature of the direction that it's taking all that is here upon Gaia's back, she says, is meant to create great upheaval and great change. And as many of you know, and as many of you have experienced with the energies that are always coming in, it is not an easy process. And it is often a painful process. And that really, that will become part of their work in what we consider the future. And that is why they are wanting to step forward more now to get us familiar with them. As many, she says, of us, and she's referring to like all the elementals now, are beginning to step forward more so that you, and she's referring to us, are experiencing less upheaval due to our presence and our increased and more open presence, because there will be a great amount more in terms of upheaval because of the ascension process. And she's saying that what we have all experienced just in this past year with the pandemic and through this year and what's going forward with it, that is all part of the ascension process. That's part of the upheaval. All of what we are terming as climate change is part of the ascension process. And and she says that all of this upheaval that is here now and that has been here, particularly in terms, she says, of what you're terming as the climate change, which has been going on for much longer than many of you are aware. It is only in recent years that it has become part of an accepted and understood state. And yet, she says, there are still many who fear this upheaval. They fear the turmoil. They fear the shift. They fear this change. And they are the ones who refuse to see and to acknowledge any of what is happening upon Gaia's back in terms of the warming sea levels, the melting ice, the dying forests. And those individuals are part of what is being pulled up, what is being brought up, and needs to be seen, acknowledged, and then released. And those of you who call yourselves light workers, who connect with spirit, who are connected with any aspect of nature, be it our realm of the ocean, or a realm of the land, or of the sky, all of you are aware of what is happening and must do your part to not give your focus and attention to those who say nay to the changes made across the earth in this past year because of what you call the pandemic, and in this past century with the environment and the changes that it is going through. All of this, too, remember, is part of the contract that Gaia agreed to. And two, it is part of what all of you in other lifetimes have agreed to and been a part of for those lower vibrational periods when there was an imbalance where you as a human collective leans toward excess and leans toward harmful interactions with the environment. It is those actions and those vibrations that, even as all of this is part of a contract, you played into and you were a part of, and you are now learning from. So I ask all of you to not flee in fear, not literally and not mentally. Do not flee in fear, for it is fear that sparked this. It was in the contract, and there was meant to be upheaval of some sort. But the exact form and nature, as all of you are here players of free will, would take whatever form you as a human collective chose. And so, as the oceans rise and they warm, and the ice melts, and forests are dying off, and there are what you term as natural disasters that are destroying your human centers and leading to the loss of many lives, all of this upheaval is what you must stand strong through and look ahead to how you can reconnect with nature, how you can teach reconnection with nature, how you can bring about conversations between your human collective and all of us who are here upon Gaia's back. For there are many, many, many more than just you. And there are many, many more who are returning, who were here, which too is part of this rising of the light that you call your ascension process. So all I say to each of you upon the matter of the upheaval that is occurring on the lands, on the skies, and with the seas, in each and every moment that you make a choice, strive toward making a choice in the best and highest good for yourself and for all that lives here upon Gaia's back. And whenever fear arises in you, let it go. For whatever may happen on any coast, in any valley, next to any river, on top of any mountain, within any forest, is not something to predict and to worry about and to prophesize for. Those are concepts of a lower vibrational time. All you must concern yourselves with is what to do. Okay. What to do with the time that is given to you. She says, yes, I phrased it that way. To finish with a little bit of humor. For laughter, if anything, is what you should focus upon. Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you. I did appreciate that. Yeah. That was a really good question, Amy. It was a big one, though. Definitely a big one. For those of you who didn't get what the reference to what she just said at the end there about the only thing that we should concern ourselves with is what to do with the time that is given to us. What to do with the time that is given to us, that comes directly out of the mouth of Gandalf the Grey Wizard, from the Fellowship of the Ring, the first movie, first book, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which most of you who have been around for a while know that that's like my most favorite story of all time. So she was just lifting things up, making me laugh a little bit there by working in a very apt phrase that just, yeah, with that reference also just makes me laugh. All right, so I had here, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, Ruby. I think we all needed to hear that a little bit because it's easy to get caught up in just all the stuff everywhere, especially when just in our own personal lives, we're all going through our own like mini forms of just like turmoil and upheaval depending on what's going on in our like day-to-day life, not to mention like just the energetic kind of shifts and changes, and then you add in everything else that's going on in the world. It's just like, that's another thing that always amazes me about just how strong-willed we all are. Then again, to have made the choice to incarnate here for like as many hundreds of lifetimes that most of us have incarnated here for, that takes some pretty strong souls for sure, because absolutely one thing that I've heard from other beings before who have like they're just connecting with us, and I'll ask them what their opinions are about the earth, and they'll just generally be like, we don't want to go anywhere near it. We like honor you so much and admire you so much for like taking on that role to like go into, how was it phrased once? I think it was something that Archangel Michael said once. Yeah, okay, it was Archangel Michael who'd said something just about like to him, we're just like deep in mud. We're absolutely deep entrenched in mud, and the fact that we're still like pushing forward and moving through it is an amazing quality. And I'm just like, thanks. That's lovely to like hear of your home planet, at least in this lifetime, being described as like a place of mud. But to be fair, it is kind of apt. And then, you know, when it's coming from an extremely high vibrational being and just comprehending where they're coming from and what their reality is like, it's like, yeah, I can see why there's that difference in perspective. Anyway, all of the questions that were written down, there's two others. So the next one was coming from Tina. And thank you so much for leaving this question that you had, Tina, and just for sharing some of your experience and kind of where this question is coming from, because oh my gosh. Ooh. So Tina was just curious about what her history with water has been, because she's always had some apprehension about being in water, and has made some amazing steps to take swimming lessons, and wow, can take salt baths and stuff, still working in other areas. But oh my gosh, Tina, you know, just reading that and just sharing this again now, I'm just amazed at what you are doing, because it's very easy to have some sort of paralyzing fear of something and to never want to touch that paralyzing fear with like what's the phrase, that like 10-foot pole kind of thing. And just be like, nope, not going anywhere near it. And yet you're working through it. So like, oh my gosh, just like high five to you, and like so much love and hugs, Tina, because that's amazing. The fact that you are not letting that fear dictate what you can or can't do, and that you're working through it. Because, yeah, those things aren't gonna magically get fixed overnight. Nothing ever does. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So, let's see. I'm going to tune in now and just see what. Okay, Saoirse now. What Saoirse has to say just about kind of that history, and if she's got any advice just for what you're doing or what else you can do. Oh. Oh. So that's so sweet. So Tina, and just sharing this out to all you guys. She's just called you, that dear child. Aw. And she says that dear child has gone through many, many, many trials through many lifetimes. We have met her many times through the water. Okay. Whoa, I feel like I've got your female guardian angel here as well, Tina, kind of just backing them up. And whew. Yeah, that you have had a number of very, very traumatic experiences with water. Primarily, Saoirse's saying you've had many experiences with drowning or being trapped in the water. Some of which were enforced. So where you were purposely made to drown, and some of which were accidental. So she says, okay, and this is backed up by your female guardian angel as well, Tina, that there is no need for you to know further details than that. And to continue focusing upon working through what those experiences have caused you to continue holding on to in this lifetime, to practice being in more of a flow and instead of being stubborn, and she's giving me this image of like one of those big wood pillars that are often placed into like bay areas, particularly around where there might be like marinas that keep track of the rising and lowering tide levels, to not be like that, not be an immovable, stubborn force, but to let yourself be like water. That what you have experienced in past lifetimes, because they were situations where you lost control or you were forced to not have any control at all due to someone else controlling you, you now need to let go of your need to control and open yourself back up and trust that all that you have experienced no longer exists. They have long since passed, and they are on their own journeys in their own lifetimes. And you are on a new journey in this new lifetime. And so you must relearn to trust the water and trust yourself. She's just giving me some images of some different practices. She says some of these you are already doing, but to anytime you're doing any of these, to be more conscious of these different daily tasks and practices and just parts of living. And she says every time you are drinking a glass of water, every time you are washing your hands, every time you are soaking your feet, soaking your hands, putting yourself in or near water, listening to water, having music that has rainwater or ocean waves to it, any of these things, some of which you are doing, some of which you may not have. Spend these moments when you do these things noticing the feeling of the water, the feeling as it goes down your throat, the feeling as it runs over your hands, the feeling as you hear it going through your ear and vibrating through your body. Notice how you feel. And if in those moments there is feelings of fear, or you feel concern, or you don't know why you're doing this, let those go. For what you are doing, as you know, will not be solved overnight. It will take this lifetime, and it may even go into the next. But you have made great steps forward. As Alyssa has said, I wish for you, she says, to acknowledge each and every time you interact with water, be it drinking it, putting your hands in it, or hearing it, to let go of any fears and then focus on how water is life and life is light. They are one and the same. They are part of a circle. Water is life and life is light. Imagine in your mind that the water you drink, that you touch, that you hear, it is light. Oh, and neat. She's got a little, she's calling it a mantra. She has a little mantra, she says, that she's sharing with you. Whew. And she says, imagine the water is light. And hold on to these words. I am light. Water is light. I am water. The water is me. I release it. I release with its power all fears that will no longer control me. I release with its power all fears that will no longer control me. Ooh, wow. Whew. She says, that is all. On that matter, my gosh. Oh. Some good action steps for you, Tina. Oh my gosh. And so, just going to take a sip of water here. All right. Last one of the ones that were written down previously. Ooh, which is another lovely little description coming from Valerie. Oh my gosh, I know I keep saying it all the time, you guys, but the questions you guys ask and the way you describe things and the things that you share, oh my gosh, they just hit my heart every time. Every time. So Valerie said, lately, I've been drawn to the water, to the oceans, been finding it tranquil when I am there. I sometimes would see and feel myself in its depths, swimming with others, playing with the dolphins, a comfortable place to be, having a moment of peaceful bliss. Is this a desire or a reminder that we are all one with life? Being a child and having the belief that all the fantastic magical stories of the unknown were just stories seems to have rooted somewhere. Are we remembering our other fractal lives, and are they being integrated now for our spiritual growth? Aww. Thank you, Alyssa, for having this session, and thank you, Valerie, for writing that. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And Valerie, in response to that, I'm just getting this resounding yes. Absolute resounding yes from both Coral and Saoirse. So, that's really, really cool, actually. And oh my gosh, I just, everywhere I look lately, everything is about joy. Your thing too, very much, Valerie, is about joy and yeah, peaceful bliss, playing with the dolphins. And yeah, we're all one with life. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that, Valerie. 'Cause that's just beautiful, and it's like spot on to also just why I love connecting with spirit in general, but especially the elementals. They have just this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful energy that I find, as much as we can learn so much that is beyond us and even bigger than us from any of the archangels and any of the ET energies, especially. I've always really, really, really loved connecting with the elementals because they're of Gaia, just like we're of Gaia. And there's kind of that companion energy of we're all here on Gaia's back. They're a bit ahead of us in terms of their vibrational journeys and whatnot, which is how and why they physically left when the vibrational frequencies dropped here. But they're they get this planet. They're of this planet, kind of in the same way that we are when we're incarnated here. And there's just something extra magical about it, I've always found. I still haven't quite managed to put it into words yet. I might put it into song one of these days. Okay, so I know that I saw a number of questions kind of throughout this live here, so I'm just going to see if I can back up a little bit and catch them and see if there's any questions that have been asked too that we might have already somewhat answered. So yeah. Madeline, ooh. Mm-hmm. With your question about how they're all, are they all in our oceans or in certain ones? Yeah, getting they're all everywhere in all of the oceans. Because they haven't, and this is Coral speaking, she says that because they haven't connected with us much until now, they are pretty much spread all over. So again, that's kind of their difference from the Selkies, who are very, very, very connected and have interacted so much more with us, or the Sea Fairies, who connect with us so much more. Any of the elementals, she says, who connect with humans more tend to group into certain areas where then we are also grouped. But the mermaids, as of this time, they're pretty much spread all the way out everywhere, which is really, really cool. They're all over the place. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question, Regina, because yeah, all the old sailor stories of sirens and mermaids are absolutely where we've gotten most of the stories about mermaids throughout many, many, many centuries. And okay, Saoirse now. I love how they keep switching back and forth. Is saying that they again are stories that came from different vibrational periods, and absolutely many sailors did come across mermaids, particularly the sailors that were most in tune with the ocean and most connected with it, the ones who understood the value and the importance of only taking what they needed and not taking any more than that. So the ones who worked with the ocean tended to be the ones who would meet the mermaids, and then the ones that told those stories that were about sirens kind of making them stray off and crash. She says those are just lower vibrational stories that were often told from sailors who were not as connected and who tended to place blame outside of themselves for where they were coming from or from what they were experiencing at the time, which is interesting. Oh, and yeah. Yeah, Ruby, getting a big yes for you, Matt. That absolutely. You have had some lifetimes as a mermaid. Ooh, how many? Ooh, quite a handful. Okay, so this is Coral now, and she says that you have had. Do you have a specific number? No. Okay. She said you've had quite a handful of lifetimes as a mermaid. So that's where you're getting kind of that feeling of connection and closeness. Cool. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you guys. that was amazing. And yeah, just kind of going back to, wow, what Valerie was saying too, just about the ocean being so tranquil and this peaceful, this place of peaceful bliss. Definitely encourage you, if you haven't connected with the mermaids, to absolutely do it, because they are this wonderful feeling of peace and calm and a good little spark, as we've definitely found through today's live, where they can absolutely have moments of sitting us down and being good and serious, and yeah, moments of being kind of playful and letting us laugh. And I can really, really see how they're definitely all about balance. One thing that just got me through this whole thing was just how they kept switching back and forth between the two of them. So I think I'm going to end it here, you guys, just because, oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, I can see why I'm getting major pullback from my guardian angel and why the two of them have kind of stepped back a little bit. Saoirse and Coral's energy has just, as I've been talking here, it's been kind of just fading back. Just and now it's pretty much gone. Oh, that reminds me of the elves, honestly. Oh my gosh. Who would just like come forth, they'd say their piece, and then just, I remember last time I channeled them, they just totally faded into the background because I think I was channeling with another medium and we got talking and they just disappeared off. Well, they're pretty busy too. Spirit always has lots of things to do, even if they can be in many, many, many different places all at once. But anyway, I think I'll finish off with that because we're on a wonderful note of just so much peace and beauty, and learned so many magical, wonderful things. And as always, I'm really, really thankful and grateful to all of you for being here and sharing this space with me. And I also just wanted to add in, just before I close off here, just a huge thank you to all of you in the Amethyst Cave for being the wonderful lights that you are, because I wouldn't be where I am today without all of you, especially when it comes to the music that I'm now formally putting together and putting down on paper and properly recording. Wouldn't be doing that without all of you and just your encouragement and your love and curiosity and light and excitement. Yeah, let's end it off with that word again, because that's what everything is, honestly. What it should be, what we should focus on the most, is just always getting excited about things. Aw, glad you enjoyed it, Senyukta. Yeah, definitely was awesome. And emotional and awesome, Tina. Yeah, I can agree with that totally. And yeah, thank you to Madeline for being here as always. So I wish all of you so, so much love and light. And I will see you guys around in the group. I'll be continuing to do my regular-ish posts about different just pre-recorded channelings I'm doing. I'm going to be doing the rest of the tricksters for this month and putting that up on my YouTube. I can also post them into the group. I am, like I said, putting a lot of focus on my music and taking my verbal channelings, and I'm now translating all those verbal channelings into the language of music. So that's kind of my biggest focus right now, and the thing that I'll probably be putting up the most. I will let you guys know, though, what will be coming up next for a live. There may be another one coming up at the end of the month. I'm kind of negotiating that with my guardian angel and just how much work I'm allowed to take on, because you guys know I take on, like all over the place fairy energy, right? So there may be that, but definitely I'm going to keep up, just at least coming on live for these good long chunks and kind of month-long just setups of this is what the energy is going to be for this month after we connect with this particular being. I'm like, oof, I'm excited for March after connecting with the mermaids. Just love their energy. Good energy for March. So yeah, I'll be around and keep you guys in the loop, and I will see you next time. So until that is, I wish you much love and light, and may the wind be always at your back. Bye for now.